Live, very aggressive, blazing wildfires.
They're largely they're still being monitored, but the fires.
Dorset heathlands.
They do. Some of the organic soils will smoulder for a while, so we could expect some hot spots still to appear.
Climate change.
But they are being monitored.
Weather, UK 25.
Dealt with as they're discovered.
Sun's on the right side of the screen. Time's down there.
Is out, yeah.
It's 4th of April.
Friday morning, some pictures which you may or may not be able to see right now. Some of them sort of from overhead as well. It's quite hard from that to get a sense of the scale of the area involved. Could you sort of give us some kind of analysis of that?
Well, the fire on Upland Heath is still actually being fully measured, but it's probably somewhere around sort of 50
Dorset.
Or so hectares.
Upper Heath.
And a hectare is the equivalent to somewhere like, for example, Twickenham International Rugby Pitch is a hectare. So if you can picture 40 Twickenham rugby pitches side by side, that's the kind of scale. And on the landscape, these are...
We got heathland around Surrey as well.
So they're within the conurbation. So they're relatively small fragments of heath. So to lose a 50 hectare chunk of heathland in one go is a significant blow to that particular site.
And what, at this stage, I know it's very early, at this stage, what's the cause? Do you have any idea of what caused it?
We don't have a definitive cause at this stage, and that's actually not uncommon with wildfires. It's very difficult to establish a cause unless there is an obvious accidental cause. So, for example, somebody may have had a barbecue and that may have got out of control. Now, this shouldn't be. These sites are banned. There are bans in place for bonfires, barbecues, campfires, etc. So there's no legitimate reason for there to be a fire on that site. And it started very late in the evening, so you can almost rule out accidental causes. We don't have any definitive evidence it's deliberate, but that is the most probable cause. And unfortunately, that's often the case with wildfire.
And you referenced a moment ago people being outdoors, maybe having barbecues. I know the weather this weekend is supposed to be lovely in many parts of the country, and in places like Dorset and other places too, people will be out and about. What kind of advice do you give them in terms of not harming the environment they're in?
Well, it's great that people are out and about enjoying the countryside, and we certainly wouldn't want to discourage that. But it is important that they take care of the countryside in all sorts of respects. So general good countryside code kind of rules really. Don't litter and so on. So take all of your litter and debris home with you. Please don't have barbecues in the countryside. They are banned in most places. It's far better to take a packed lunch with you, sandwiches and so on, rather than take any form of barbecue or indeed any kind of cooking material that has an open flame. So please avoid that, particularly in these very dry conditions that we have at the moment. But enjoy the countryside. Please just use it very responsibly and be very careful.
Andy Elliott, thank you for your time this morning. Andy Elliott is from Dorset and Wiltshire Fire Service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Returning to one of our main stories this morning, the government has been told to stop sitting on its hands and intervene in Birmingham's ongoing bin strike, which has affected 1 million people. More than 400 members of the Unite Union have been striking on and off since the beginning of the year. The dispute is over plans by Birmingham City Council to downgrade some staff and reduce their pay as part of efforts to balance the authority's finances. The strike has led to more than 17,000 tonnes of uncollected waste being left on the streets, just like the bags you can see there. As a result, Birmingham City Council has declared a major incident, claiming the industrial action is causing a health and environmental hazard for residents. Elizabeth Glinker has this report.
With the weather heating up, the mood and the air in Birmingham is souring.
6 weeks running.
Live, amazing.
And the community should not have to stand for this.
We're going to have maggots, we're going to have rats. There's only so
live,
much
incredible.
can do, and we feel that we've been let down by our local council.
But a way through the
expect it's
dispute
bin
between
strike.
bin workers and the
Midlands.
council is getting harder to
Only
see.
in the UK 25.
On Monday, the authority declared a major incident, signalling its intent to bring in additional support to clear the 17,000 tonnes of rubbish it says has accumulated on the city's streets.
Hands up the right side
It
screen.
followed accusations
Hands down
picketers
there.
are blocking working bin
What's 8
crews
today?
from
Friday
leaving
morning, guys.
depots.
25.
Unite's lead negotiator on Acre Sab spoke to members on the picket lines with a defiant message.
This remains still not just a dispute that is morally and in principle right, but it remains a dispute that has a solution. It has a resolution, and you can absolutely 100% win it.
At the same time, a leaked letter from Unite's General Secretary Sharon Graham to the Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner described local negotiations as a farce, said the government had to stop sitting on its hands and called for the Treasury to restructure the council's debts. Having given a statement on the crisis earlier in the week, local government minister Jim McMahon met with council bosses on Thursday to offer support. Visiting the Midlands later the same day, Chief Secretary to the Treasury Darren Jones denied the government is failing to act.
I don't think it's right to say the government's been sitting on its hands. We've continued to support the council and its leaders in Birmingham when it was declared a major incident with the bin collection issues because of the strikes from Unite Union, from the workers there. It was right that we supported the council in that decision, and that's the conversation we're having now to understand what we can do to help resolve with the immediate issue of the bins that are not being collected, but also draw a line under the disputes.
Talks are due to resume on Monday, but as the rubbish continues to pile up, patience is wearing thin. Elizabeth Glingham.
Not good for your health or the environment.
Well, we're joined now by William Timms, a pest controller based in Birmingham. Good morning to you. You've been in pest control for a decade. Have you ever known a situation like this?
Good morning. No, I haven't. Since the strikes, this is the busiest I've ever been.
Oh, I bet so.
Can you talk us through what you're seeing? I mean, we can see the pile.
Well, first of all, there was strikes in the Midlands for bin strikes, though, isn't it? Really? Come on. Done before.
Well, we've been called out to rodents in cars, back gardens, front gardens. They're actually gaining access through air vents from the front. Calls have gone up 60%. And we see, I actually pulled a rat out of a trap a couple of weeks ago where it was over 22 inches length from tip to tail.
Blimey.
And how quickly can rats reproduce? Because I know that when there are conditions like this where there's plenty for them to eat and they can sort of let one another know that there's lots of food available, then there's more of them.
That's it, yeah, in a perfect habitat, which is what they're getting at the moment. Generally, rats are sexually mature from 2 months old, but they give birth every 3 weeks. From anywhere from 6 to 12 pups, and that's per female. So we've
21 a.m. in the morning.
Inundated with them.
On the 4th.
How long do you think recovery from a situation like this might take? If all of the bins were to be collected today, presumably the problem would linger.
It definitely would, yeah. Because what the issue would be as well, all the rodents that are actually feeding on the rubbish. After all of this has gone, they forage anyway, and they take so quick to become established that when this rubbish goes, that they'll find somewhere else to go, which would be close by, which would be like people's homes, gardens, cars again, and they'll start nesting in there as well.
William, good morning to you. It's Charlie here in the studio. As you were in your first, I think the first thing you said to us a moment ago was a 22-inch long rat. Now I was sitting here kind of measuring that out. That's a 2 foot long rat. That is a huge rat. I mean, is that are they growing like that because they've got easy access to food? I mean, is that a direct result?
Well, in Birmingham, there's always been an issue with rats anyway, but since the rubbish hasn't been collected, they've got a 24-hour banquet. So they've got all the protein there, which makes the rats are getting bigger. So, yeah, it's unbelievable. They are literally the size of small kittens.
And I know that, you live in the area yourself.
Oh my God.
Is there rubbish piling up literally in your street?
That's scary.
It started to this week. More bins haven't been collected now for, I'd say this is going to be coming up to the 3rd week if they haven't been collected, and there are starting to be rubbish bins on the floor now.
Is there anything that residents can do until the bins are collected?
Well, it's a bit hard to do, especially in some areas. I mean, because people can't drive to the tip to get to them. But the best thing is try and store it somewhere where, like an enclosed shed with a hard floor, so the rats can't get into there. If you're just leaving it on the floor, they're just going to come along, rip it up, and just absolutely just decimate the area.
That's really good advice.
So
You really
other issues as well.
You really painted the picture this morning. Thank you. That's William Timms, pest controller, as the ongoing crisis in
Subscribe
in Birmingham. Thanks so much for your time.
SE time now is 7:20.
This is my friend Sparky and Jim every Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. ITF Friday thing, Surrey Hill Bay Friday. It's my friend Shane, live as you do every Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Surrey Hill Bay live as you do every Friday. That's my friend John on Last Show every Sunday at 9 to 12 p.m. live on the Woking Show Last Show every Sunday at 9 to 12 p.m. Please squash on site AGM, so fun top right side screen. I'll let you know on a comment below what you think about the bin strike and these hedland fires in Dorset as well. Please squash on site AGM.